Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm the Warlord.
Unbelievable fans, the clock is ticking. You know what time it is. A brand new Wrestling Insider special edition is up next. Boston wrestling sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the NWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another special edition of Wrestling Insider. A special guest, the Warlord, is with us once again as we continue to break down what was a very memorable career now as we start to dive into that late 80s period that I love so much with all the great guests we've had here that have tried to dissect it from their point of view. It's going to be very interesting. Again, if you're joining us live, we want you to join the conversation. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have the premiere going where you can be respectful to your fellow fans and share your thoughts about the time period we're discussing, as well as the Warlord. The Super Chat is always open if you want to tip the bartender and help us keep the lights on. If you're not watching during the premiere, leave your thoughts in the description box below. We love to know what you guys think of the guests. We love to know your reactions to the stories we tell so we can bring you the best possible wrestling shows we can. I don't know when live wrestling events are going to be coming back to Massachusetts. Indoor capacity for gatherings was cut from 25 to 10. So it's not looking good anytime soon. So the one thing we can do to try and keep eyeballs on our product and our presentations are great talk shows like this. Not only that, we're helping keep the wrestling legends working, and a lot of these episodes are being taped during our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest. So there's good vibes all around. We want to go back to the good vibes of 1988 with the Warlord. You were in a very plum position working for Jim Crockett down in the NWA with the Barbarian, feuding with the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, and then almost like when I snapped my fingers a few minutes ago, with the snap of a finger, you were gone. You talked a little bit about it during the Pat Patterson episode. Rick Martel went down with injury. Strikeforce was out of the tag team title picture, feuding with Demolition. WWF needed a new top tag team. Take it from there.
Basically, they, as I kind of said earlier in the Pat Patterson interview, is Grizzly Smith, who was, of course, Jake the Snake's dad, gave my partner a call, Barb a call at his house in Charlotte, and talked to them that they would like to meet with us and that they would like to fly us down the next morning from Charlotte to Atlanta. So Barb, the way he talks, calls me up and he says, Teddy, you know, Grizzly Adams, WWF, they would like to talk to us. You know, I said, all right, Barb, cool, when do we go? He said, tomorrow morning. They have tickets waiting for the airport in Charlotte. So we went to the airport, picked up our tickets, flew down to Atlanta, and come outside and there's a limo waiting. So limo goes ahead and picks us up, takes us to a hotel. They give us a key to a room. We lit up the room with the key, And there's Pat Patterson, Vince McMahon, and Hulk Hogan all in the same room. So we go and sit down with them. They go through their spiel, and they go, well, what do you think? And, you know, they didn't give a timetable, and Barb said, you know, looks around, he said, when do we start? And they said, we'd like you to come in Monday. Now, this is a Friday. Now, usually you don't, in a big organization, you're not somewhere else and you're there a couple days later.
Right.
You know, they do it to a little process of time. I'm like, oh, all right, Barb, I guess we go there Monday. Now, you know, the next day we're supposed to be in Baltimore for the NWA working, holding our 6-man tag team belts with Ivan Koloff against, it was actually against Paul Ellering, Dusty Rhodes, and Hawk, because Animal had been hurt. So we go to the show, and I'm gonna take a little bit further here. We go to the ring, they come to the ring, Hawk and Barb are ready to start the match. Also, the Road Warriors music came back on. Now, I didn't know this at the time. Animal was there, and curtains open up, there he is with a hockey mask on, with his face paint. So he comes down the ring, I'm looking at Barb, I said, Barb, I didn't know Joe was here, you know. And he comes down there, he gets in the ring, you know, he goes, he always does that stuff.
Yeah.
And he tags Hawk, so he's gonna start the match with Barb. Just about ready to lock up, he pulls back, he rips the hockey mask off, because his eye had healed, and he's got his face paint on there. Now, he took him through that hockey mask. Now, you can imagine what happened to that hockey mask. You got 20,000 people in Baltimore Arena. Yeah, we had to wait for a while to start the match. They were fighting for that thing. The police had to go over there, everything else. We just sat in our corners and waited, you know, till they got all settled out, you know. And, you know, we ended up getting disqualified, but we still had the belts and that stuff, you know. And we come back, and Barb goes to Dusty and goes, Dusty, we go to WWF Monday. And his jaw dropped to the ground, because we had all these ladder matches with the Road Warriors coming up. For Starrcade,
right?
Scaffold matches with the Road Warriors coming up. And Animal just came up and he shook our hand and said, good for you guys, because we weren't going to take the bump you guys were. You guys are going to fall every night, you know, and we already knew that. So
And what a waste, not to digress, but I found those scaffold matches kind of boring. No one was really going to do anything on it.
You can't do any
other than fall.
Other than fall. That's all you can do. I mean, it was just a waste of time. It really was. And like I say, from 30 feet up and you got 300-pound men, yeah, you're going to get hurt sooner or later.
You saved yourself some wear and tear.
Yes, I did. And I made a good decision by going to WWF, because they were the hottest thing going. That's where everybody, if you actually became somebody big when you make it WWF. I mean, that's elite. That's elite. You know,
that's the brand name.
I said that in college one time when I was playing football. We used to watch the WWF when it first came on TV and cable at that time. And it was just like, wow, just shocked. This is glitz and glamour. Look at how big this is compared to the wrestling I'd seen, AWA and all that stuff. My God, look at this. And
were you a fan as a young person?
Yeah, I watched AWA in Minnesota when I grew up in that. So I used to watch Vern Gagne and all that stuff, you know. And then, yeah, I didn't really know what NWA was at that time, you know. But I remember the first time I was going down to the NWA, and I had to stay over in a hotel one night, and the WWF show was on. And that's when it was going to be Hogan against Andre. And I just looked, I said, man, I would love to be there someday. I really would. I'd love to be there someday. And I made it down the road. Here I am in college watching Jimmy Superfly Snuka, watching British Bulldogs. I'm watching all these guys. And all of a sudden, years later, I'm like, wow, this is cool, man. I'm here.
It's almost like a dream.
Yeah, I'm working with all these guys that I watched in college. You know, I mean, it was fun. It was fun. It really was. I enjoyed it. In fact, Hogan, being in Minnesota, you know, Hogan being a big Minnesota guy too and that stuff before, you know. I went to the old Met Center where they played the hockey and that stuff, and they had a show there. And the wrestling school I was going, they invited us to come to that night. So I got to go backstage and meet Hulkster and everybody. And he looked at me and said, brother, you're a big guy, man. I might see you here someday. That's what he said. I might see you here someday. And I made it. He kind of looked at me and he just shook his head. I think he really remembered. I really do. He just shook his head just like that. It was cool. It made me feel good. It really did.
Why do you think he was at that meeting?
Just to kind of show their power. Why not bring your biggest star there ever is? He's the biggest star in the business forever.
Did he help and make the pitch to you guys, or did he just kind of sit and listen to McMahon and Patterson?
It was mostly those two. You know, it was presentation. That's all it was.
And respect even. That they thought that much of you to take Hogan from a rare day off to come to meet with you guys at the hotel. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Did the NWA want you to drop the titles on the way out?
No, because we didn't have a show that Sunday, so we were.
Oh, okay.
We were gone. And the funny thing is, I gave my belt back that night. Barb kept his.
Did he?
And Barb would have told me, I would have kept my damn belt. Those are nice six-man tag team belts.
Think of what those nice belts would be worth nowadays too. I know what Bill got for his WWF tag team title.
You know
belt.
what? I would have never sold it.
You would have kept it?
Yes, because that's special.
Yeah,
that would
sure.
go down to my kids. It's like my W staff that I have. That's one of a kind. I've had so many people offer me such big money for that staff. So I'm never going to sell it. It's going to go to my kids. I love my one pair of special tights that I wrestled so many guys in. I sold two of the others. My one special one, I'm keeping that. My Powers of Pain ones I have with Barb right now, I'm keeping those for my kids. You know, there's no amount of money. That goes to my family. It gets passed down through the generations.
There's only one of things like that.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And they're very special.
Once you sell them, you're not getting them back
That's
again.
right. And all the people you wrestled in those things, there's such good memories looking at those things. You know?
It's like a library of memories.
Yes. You can't take that away.
No.
Can't take that away.
Not at all. So you wrapped up with NWA. That Monday you put on the road. How did the WWF fans take to you right away? You were heels in the NWA. WWF was looking to have you take Strikeforce's place as the #1 babyface tag team. What was the initial reaction like to the fans before you even debuted on television?
Well, the first couple of weeks, because we didn't do TV yet, so no one knew we were in WWF. We went to do the house shows, and the people are in awe. Because we had music coming out when we came out, and as big as we were and that stuff and what we could do, the people were just like, wow, Powers of Pain or WWF. And the people went nuts. They went crazy. I mean, our first show was in University of Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. And of course, those, you know, the college kids are great. They went nuts and that stuff, you know. And next day we were in Syracuse, New York, and then we had 2 TVs. Now, this was a Fuji rib. We didn't really know Mr. Fuji. So we're looking around and we asked, you know, where's a good hotel to stay here in Syracuse? Well, who'd we get? Fuji. We asked Fuji. A mistake. So Fuji goes, I have very good hotel. You know what I'm talking about. You go to this hotel. Oh, very good. All the boys stay there. So we get done. We go to this motel, and I was like, Barb, how come there's no cars in the parking lot? You know, maybe they park somewhere else. I don't know. So we park there. We go and get a room. We go to the room. We open the door. Now, there's no air conditioning in this place. The air conditioning is broke.
And you went in the summertime.
Yeah. 95 degrees out. All the mosquitoes. Yeah, humidity. So we go ahead. We get in, we turn the TV on, it's fuzzy. So you can't even go to the TV. Now, we try to go to sleep. The beds are like sagging to the ground.
Oh, my God.
So I'm just like looking at it. So we got to open up the doors to try to get some air in there. Now you got the mosquitoes coming in. This is the night before our first big TV for WWF. So we're up every hour fanning each other off like this to try staying cool because we're dying, you know. Next day we got to drive 3 hours to Glens Falls, New York, and we're just dying. We're tired. We get to Glens Falls, and this was cool. We come in with our bags, and all of a sudden we stop, and all of a sudden here comes, like, you know, Andre the Giant, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage. All of a sudden he stops, he turns and looks, "What's up, big brothers? Welcome to the WWF." The way O said it, you know. I'm like,
this was Randy that said that?
Yeah. I like drop my bags. I look at Barb and said, "Barb, that's his real voice." That's his real voice, you know. So we go and get her, and then of course Fuji says, "How was hotel last night?" I just shook my head. He goes, oh, no. We all stay at Super 8. You gotta be kidding me, man. Fuji got us.
Forget about Super 8. If that was a downgrade from the Super 8, I can't imagine what that place was like.
It was brutal. It was brutal. It was rough.
What were your initial impressions of the WWF, your first big television taping, compared to your experiences in the NWA?
It was night and day. It was like taking from wrestling to stardom. Glitz and glamour. It was just a different atmosphere. The WWF was a different atmosphere than the NWA. NWA was great wrestling. This was entertainment. It was entertainment. Entertainment at its best. Entertainment with great athletes. You know, entertainment with comic book characters that came to real life. They were real life comic book characters. It was fun. It was fun just to see that big WWF logo. It was cool.
How would you compare your initial impressions of Vince McMahon to working for Jim Crockett?
Vince was just a larger-than-life person. Jim Crockett was never... You really didn't see too much of Jim Crockett. Vince you always saw. Vince was a person that was larger than life too also. He was just a person that when he come around, everything kind of... Everybody had to look.
Yeah.
You know, that was Vince. And to this day, still the same way. It's just larger than life. It's Vince. It's just Vince.
What about your early memories of a team that you'd feud pretty much the majority of the time with for the next year and a half? Axe and Smash Demolition, Bill and Barry.
Great tag team. One of the best, probably I would say behind the Road Warriors. Great gimmick. The outfits were cool. Great music. Powerful music.
Love the song.
Powerful music coming to that ring. I am the Axe and I am the Smash. I mean, just great music, you know. And they both went together real well. And they were old school type wrestlers. That's what they did, old school type wrestling, you know. And it worked well, you know. It worked well. I mean, they should be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, it's all political. We all know that. It's all political. They should have been in the Hall of Fame right away. They've had the tag team. They held the tag team longer than any other tag team titles, longer than anybody else ever has.
Well, New Day actually broke it by about a week, they could say Demolition
It's still Demolition. I don't care. It's still Demolition. That's just political too. That's all.
Demolition worked on top with those belts.
Yes.
The big difference between that and how they presented on TV
and tag
nowadays.
teams were totally different back then than they are now too. Totally different. Tag teams back then were unbelievable. They were one of a kind tag team. Everyone was a one of a kind tag team. You know, today now they just throw guys together.
Yeah.
And in our time, everybody complimented the other. Everybody complimented. So that's what made the tag team so unique.
I'll say this, I've done very few things right in life when it comes to wrestling, but one thing that I put a feather in my cap on is that I don't know if you're familiar with the fact that after Survivor Series 90, Bill and Barry didn't speak for 16 years.
I know.
I went on a manhunt to find Barry Darsow. A manhunt. And I was unsuccessful for a long time. But I finally got him in late 2006 and got the two of them to reunite and speak to each other again the morning of WrestleMania 27 in Detroit. And they were my favorites as a kid. And I like both of them personally very much.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the few really great things I've done in wrestling is to take a tag team that meant so much to so many and get them on. And now look at them. They're on the road together a few times a month and they're making more money. Easy money. You know, it's not like they're in the ring bumping around anymore. So I was very happy I was able to do that. As a kid, I had that big 24 by 36 inch Demolition poster on my wall. I had the Axe.
Where's the Powers Paid one?
They didn't make one, did they?
No.
I had the Axe LJN, but they didn't make a Smash LJN because LJN cut the line. It was almost like they made a Warlord LJN, but poor Barbarian got jobbed out of his.
Same as Hasbro. Hasbro didn't do one of Barb.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't do one
Hasbro.
of Mattel for Barb. You know, they didn't. I don't know.
They really
why.
like you.
I don't know. I'm lucky, man. Thank God, because I love those things. No matter whatever happens to me in life, I live forever. I'm immortal. Like Hogan said, we're immortal.
Yep.
We're immortal with those action figures. We become immortal. And that's
action figures, now with the advent of the internet, the old video footage and the pay-per-views, and like you said, I mean, when your physical body is gone, your spirit and your presence will live on for eternity.
Yes. And like you said, you know, I'm very glad that Bill and Barry got back together, because they're kind of like Animal and Hawk, where they weren't talking for a long time, and then they got back together. It means, because those are just tag teams that actually need each other. They actually need it. One with the other is not the same. Together, they can do whatever. They can do everything. So I'm glad, because they're both good men, and you know, they look great together.
How did they like working with you? Any idea? I mean, did they think you were these kind of younger guys coming in from NWA compared to working with vets like Tito and Martel, someone that they had to carry a little bit?
Well, I was always the greenest of everybody. I was the young boy yet of everybody. You know, Barb had been there for a while.
Because you must have been pretty young at this point.
I was young.
Mid-20s, right?
Of course, Bill's a veteran. Bill had been around forever and that stuff, you know. But no, I know they enjoyed it, because we had very good matches together with those guys. Of course,
believable matches.
Yes, and of course,
credibility.
Yes, and of course we got to do, you know, work for the titles for a long time, which was very enjoyable. I mean, just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
I really like that feud.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure we'll get back to Demolition as the life of the Warlord in WWF continues. But another new babyface tag team hit the scene right around the same time you guys did. They were with the company for one single day in 1987 before they got fired in Buffalo, New York. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, my partner in crime each and every Thursday night here in the seat at 10 p.m. The Rockers. Your memories of the Rockers early on in the company when you guys were both all kind of new?
I tell you what, the Marty and Shawn were a lot of fun. When they were young, they were wild. Like you said, their first
Marty
time.
Now.
Yeah, like I said, they're into the territory the first time. They get fired the first
one night.
Not very many people could do that, you know. But they were a great tag team. I mean, we had I think some of our best matches ever with those guys, because them being small, us being big the way we were, they knew how to work with big men. They knew how to. I mean, they could fly, literally fly.
At that point, you know, while they'd probably be considered about average size today in WWE, back then they were looked at as pretty small.
Yeah, they were small at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, like I said, you know, the WWF at the time was comic book characters brought to life. You look at a comic book character, that's what we were. Except we were real body, we were real people. And everybody was so big, strong, everything else and that stuff, you know. But those two guys had the great looks. And they had all the women.
And they fit the gimmick.
Yes,
they lived the gimmick.
Yeah, they lived the gimmick. But you're talking two great workers. And at that time, I think actually, to tell you the truth, Marty was a better worker than Shawn at that time. Marty was a hell of a worker.
I think
he was good.
Some people may make that statement even now. And I think
that's my feeling. And I like Shawn a lot, but Marty was good.
Marty doesn't have the body of work that Shawn does. That's the problem.
No.
Marty never had the big world title runs.
No.
Marty never headlined the pay-per-views. No. But I'll say this. I think match for match, as far as variety, freshness, working with small guys, big guys, great workers, greenhorns, certainly not the biggest star in the history of the industry. But if I was to sit down and you could say you could have one collection of one guy's matches, I think Shawn Michaels might be the best of them all.
Yeah, you're probably right. Shawn's had a great career. And, you know, Shawn adapted to every change he made, whether it be how he worked, which was always great, whether it be whatever rig attire he would wear, which was always unique.
Yep, definitely.
You know? Yes. You know, Shawn adapted to the business, and he changed with the business all the time, which, you know, was very unique. You know, whatever it took, he did. Shawn did. You know, and like I say, Shawn was kind of like Bret Hitman Hart that I worked with for a while. If you couldn't work with him, you didn't deserve to be in the business.
Right.
You did.
You can't have a good match with one of those guys.
If you couldn't have a good match with it, you'd get out of the business, because it's never going to happen. Never. But like I say, you know, Barb and me had incredible matches with those two guys. And it was believable what we did. Very believable. I remember in Madison Square Garden, I think it's on YouTube yet, where I gave Shawn a backdrop, And he got so high, I actually turned around. He wasn't down in the mat yet. And he actually, that little microphone that's over the thing up there, the little light that sits over,
MSG thing, yep.
it hit him. He hit it. He
Wow.
got so high, and I was so strong at that time. I could toss anything at that time. And he knew how to come off the back. Amazing, amazing. And those guys, they made everything you did to them was so believable, so believable. And they knew how, like I say, they know how to work with big guys. They would, to get you down, they would use tag, double team. They would double something with that double kick to the face, super kick. You know, whatever they did, it was always a double to try to get you. Never single, always a double, always.
And it made sense from a psychological point of
Yes.
view, where they were smaller guys in the company that
Yep.
you'd think, in theory, if it was a real fight, you'd need two bodies to
Yes,
take
you
down
would.
some of those bigger guys.
Yes, you would. You know, and like I say, you know, they could work together very good, very well.
You mentioned it on your way out of the NWA in June of '88, you were in Baltimore, Maryland. Before the end of the month, you were back in Baltimore, Maryland with the World Wrestling Federation.
Yes.
House show, nondescript, you'd think, until the after events that night when the International Hotel near the Baltimore airport, Haku bit off a man's nose. Were you in the vicinity when this night took place?
Yeah, I'll add a little more to that there.
Okay.
As you said, we were in Baltimore that Saturday before. Mm-hmm. And we were bad guys. We were the heels. We had the 6-man tag team belts. And the people wanted to cook us, you know, they wanted to kill us. They wanted us destroyed. Now, we come back the next week, same arena. And I'm looking at Barb and said, Barb, they're not going to like us. Because we were just here last week, you know. But now they hadn't seen us on TV. And they didn't even know we were in WWF yet.
So
they
it
didn't
was
know.
a surprise just to see you, yeah.
So Demolition went to the ring with Fuji. All of a sudden, we hit out there. We hit that ring and boom, boom, boom. They take out, boom, they're gone. The people went nuts. I'm like, Barb, they like us. Look at this. I mean, one week they want to kill you. Next week they want to marry you. I said, only in wrestling, man. Only in wrestling, you know. And so that night afterwards, you know, we went to the back to the Holiday Inn, and we went across the street to this one nightclub we always went to all the time. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Safari Club. The Safari Club. A lot of fun. Always
That was
packed.
it, the Safari
Yes,
Club.
Safari Club.
Yep.
Always packed, always. So we're having a great time, just walking around, you know. And, you know, I didn't drink or anything. You know, I never got into the drinking or anything else, you know.
Good for you.
So Haku was just having a beer, you know. And if you know anything about Tongans, Samoans, if they have one extra 2 beers too much, they're another people. They'll give you the shirts off their back. They will do whatever for you, anything. So I just get done seeing Haku, and I go, you okay? So, oh, good brother, you know. You know, I'm with Tonga Kid and that stuff, you know. And all of a sudden I turn around, I look, and Haku's staring at this person. I'm like, trying to figure out who he's staring at. And all of a sudden he just starts going like through a crowd, like nothing's effective. He's just walking right through, like he's like a knife going through butter, you know. He goes to this guy, he grabs him, and just literally, boom. I go over, all you see is blood everywhere. The guy's nose is like, yeah. So,
like a dog's toy.
So we get Haku with Tonga, we get him back into the car, take him back to the Holiday Inn, get him up to his room. Please stay here, Haku, please stay in your room. We come back downstairs, and we go towards the front entrance and that stuff, and here comes all of these police cars. I went, oh boy, they knew where we're staying, you know. So, of course, Haku sneaks back down the elevator after us and goes to the bar. So he's at the bar. Now, all these police officers come in, but I'm trying to think, man, if these guys go, no, he's going to fight. He's going to fight. And someone's going to get hurt. And Haku can go.
Now, did you know he was at the bar at this point?
I knew he was at the bar because I just turned around, I saw it. And then I looked at all these police come. So when they came in, I'm like, when they come in, I said, where's Haku? Where's Haku? Guy, just like thinking, guys, give him a minute. If you give him a minute, he'll calm down there and that stuff, you know, because he's talking to some people, you know. So we sat there for like a minute, and it was kind of like the movie The Blues Brothers, where they were in that elevator, going up with that little elevator music going. That's what it felt like to me. Doing all of us sitting there waiting. All of a sudden I go, yeah, it's cool now. And they went over to him, tapped him on the shoulder, he turned around, he goes, oh, He just, very simple. Very
Really?
easy. He wasn't, no.
Wow.
Because he was relaxed now. It was, everything was done. He was very relaxed and that stuff,
Do you know what led to the incident with the man?
No.
Huh.
Just a
dirty look?
Yeah, maybe a dirty look. It is something that he got a fix on, and that was it. Nothing was going to stop him to get to that.
Wow.
Nothing.
Do you consider him, I know there's a list of usually 5 or 6 that get tossed around, but the most dangerous man, the toughest man you were ever around in the industry?
Yeah, him and my partner. Those two. Haku, the one thing you got to realize about Haku, here's a 300-pound man, had legs like this, leg trunks, just trunks for legs. He sumoed in Japan for years, so he knew the center of balance. He had unbelievable balance. That's how he do all that stuff so well in the ring.
That's interesting, train of thought. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
And then also his punches. You can see how good he could punch. And I mean, he just had those big, he was just a natural big man. And when you're in sumo, they punch those posts to practice punching. So he knew how to do that really well, And the guy was fast as a gazelle. He could move. I mean, this guy could fly. And I mean, he had a head like that on him too. And just, big hands, strong hands. And and the thing is, they fight to the death in those places. They don't quit. There's no stopping them. And Barb was the same way. They like me. They call me a Howley.
They call you what?
I'm a Howley.
What's that mean?
That's a white boy. Howley.
Howley?
Howley.
Howley.
Howle. I pronounce it. Howley. We're Howleys.
Oh, okay.
Because you always complain. That's what it is. White people complain. So we're Howleys.
Oh, howling. Okay,
Howleys.
I got you.
Yeah, howl.
Okay.
Howls. But they love me, and that's because I was Barb's partner. And but those two, yeah. Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want to have been the guy giving him the dirty look. That's for sure.
I'll take Haku over anybody today. At his prime, I'll take him over anybody.
Did you run into a lot of nightclub tough guys from time to time that had a few too many, and you'd see, oh, you're one of those fake wrestlers from TV? And
not really.
No?
Only one time is at Denny's. Some guys, a couple of us guys were sitting down having a meal, and some punk kids came in and said, "Oh, look, it's a professional wrestler. That's all fake, blah, blah, blah." Man, I wasn't in the mood, and that stuff, So whatever, I just kind of grabbed by the neck and squeezed. He starts crying, so you have to call the police, and the police took them out.
Really?
Yeah, took them out. They were the ones that started the whole thing.
Good. You were just trying to enjoy a meal.
We were just trying to eat in peace and that stuff, man. Whatever you think of it, think of that stuff, but keep it to yourself. I don't care what you think, but keep it to yourself. You know
what I've never understood? Do you think anyone has ever gone up to Arnold Schwarzenegger and said, you know what? You're that fake Terminator. You know what? I've never understood the mindset, why people come at it from that way, especially those that don't understand it, that don't understand what the bodies go through. Is just as physically grueling as just about any other major league sport that there is out there.
It's because
But I just don't understand why, like I said, I don't think anyone's ever gone up to Sly Stallone and said, there's that fake Rocky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just because they don't understand, and that's they don't know what we go through, what we put our bodies through.
Right.
I would love to put them in the ring for one day through a session. And I'll have them do all those rolls, all those things you learn. So by the time you're done, your neck is like this for the next week. You can't move your neck because it's stuck because doing all those rolls. Then I'm going to have them hit those ropes a bunch of times so you get that rope burn here so you can't even touch it. It's like you got to walk around because you can't even touch your lat because it's all black and blue. After they'll quit. The first day they're done. I had a guy who was in the Gold's Gym in Vegas. He comes and says, "Man, you're the Warlord." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Man, I respect, man." He says, "I'm a big guy. But I went to the school. I lasted 1 week, and that was it. Man, I couldn't take it. The things you guys do in that, I have all the respect in the world. All. That's why I say, just put these people in the ring one time and put them through some of the things we go through. Put them through where you give a person a slam. You got to get up, and you got to know right where you're at when you get up. When you get up that first time, if you take a slam, you're going to be so disoriented, you're not going to know where the hell you are in that ring.
I remember I started doing this when I was 13. I worked for a guy named the Boston Bad Boy, Tony Rumble.
Yeah, Tony Rumble.
One of the guys took me in the ring, 13-year-old, 9th grade guy. I was pretty big. You wouldn't think I was in the 9th grade, but they scooped me up and slammed me, and it was like the cartoon with the yellow bird.
That's right.
All I saw was stars, and I'm
Yes.
like, you got to be shitting
Yes,
me.
and
this is the big trampoline
Yep, and
that
just
everybody
think about
talks about.
when you got to get up.
So
from
I
that,
learned the respect
you gotta
first
know,
night.
When you get up from that, you got to know where to position
Yeah.
yourself right in that ring again for boom, 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 boom. When you're doing things, you have to know yourself. Everything in that ring got to be right there in a second. Boom, boom, boom. It's like that. You know, and people don't realize how hard that is. They don't understand.
Well, I know a lot of the old timers used to love to teach it to them.
Yeah. The biggest thing I was remember about the old timers, the first time I ever did a TV, they said, kid, don't worry about it. If you screw up today, only about 5 million people are watching. I got to run back to the bathroom quick, man. They know how to get under you, you know? They know how to get under your skin to get you really going and that stuff, you know? But that's all it was. That's all it was.
That was the nature of the beast.
It was all about respect to that business. Respect it. Respect.
And it's a business that deserves it.
Yes,
as
it
you,
is.
As you well know, even far better than I do, with what you gave up in your life to be able to do something that you loved and excelled at so well.
Yeah.
As you guys were coming into the WWF, I don't know if you had much of a chance to engage with them, but Bam Bam Bigelow and Sir Oliver Humperdinck were on their way out.
Yeah.
Bam Bam was in a great spot just a couple of months before you got there.
Yeah.
Him and Hulk Hogan were teaming against Andre and DiBiase on house shows. A young guy, and now in the summertime, he's out the door.
Yeah. The biggest thing I remember about Bam Bam, it wasn't WWF, because I really didn't know Bam Bam there, because like I said, he was out there before we got there. But it was in my first time I went to Japan, and it was for Antonio Inoki, which was so cool. You know, 6 weeks, tour, And Bam Bam didn't come there right away. He came about a week after we were there. And he came in, bigger guy comes in, all the tattoos on the head, all that stuff, And all I remember is WWF, all they did leading up to when he was in Japan, working in Japan with us, WWF was putting him on TV, just his head with all tattoos, saying coming soon, coming soon. I mean, they would just get him over so big before he was going to come to WWF and that stuff, And, Bam Bam was huge in Japan, big name in Japan, And, the guy for a big guy, he could move for a big man.
Sure could.
He could move for a big guy. I enjoyed watching his matches in Japan. I'd watch all the times he would work in Japan, so I could learn more. Because you never know when you watch matches what you can learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
And not to copy what they do, but like they do, but change something a little bit.
Modify
and
it.
make it yours. But yeah, Bam Bam was big man, good wrestler.
It was disappointing because as a kid, he was someone I really enjoyed, and then without knowing, what went on behind the scenes and such, just vanished overnight like that. That was always confusing, I guess, is the best way to put it. And then you'd see them show up in other territory, because back in those days we had WWF, NWA, AWA, and World Class on TV. So then they'd show up in another promotion, and it was kind of cool. When I first started watching, I didn't quite understand it at first. I'm like, oh, they go to these different places. I didn't quite get that. Another guy that came in and came out quickly, almost right around the exact same time you were there, was a man that was filming a part in the No Holds Barred movie, the veteran Joss LeDuc, who came in as the Butcher. I think he had on brown overalls.
Yeah,
and
he was brown overalls.
Dynamite Kid made sure it was a quick trip for Joss.
If Dynamite Kid didn't like you, it was gonna be a rough life, especially in WWF. I mean, he was big time ribber. He'd make sure you know about it. I really, like I said, I didn't really know him too well either.
Talking about Joss
Yeah,
LeDuc?
yeah. I didn't
He
really know
wasn't there that long.
I really didn't know him too well and that stuff. And I know there was some heat there. That's all I know on that stuff. But I really can't tell you much.
I was told that he would go out and befriend Joss, and then at the restaurants and whatnot, if Joss would go to the bathroom, something would accidentally fall into Joss's drinks. So
You're on the bad side of Dynamite. Yeah, it's not a good side to be on.
And Joss was closer to the end than the beginning to begin with. That wasn't exactly a young guy that WWF was putting on the road, but he must have made a nice impression on people during the No Holds Barred movie for them to even take kind of an older guy and give him that position, attempt to give him a position in the company like that.
No, just trying. It was good because you know, off the no-holds bar, give them a little something to do in that stuff, you know, which is good. It's good to do that stuff for the business.
Like you said, you can learn something from everyone.
Yes, you can.
And variety, you talk about today when it looks like, again, I hate to be too stiff with what's on TV nowadays, but a lot of the guys, if you found out they were in high school, you wouldn't be all that shocked.
That's right.
Josh LeDuc was, he may have been an older man,
yes, he
but
was.
he was a very tough, dangerous looking man.
Yes, he was.
Just his forehead alone.
Yep.
Just that forehead alone, those Canadians up there.
Yep. Yep. You're right.
I lost my train of thought for a second there. July of 1988. This had to have been a memorable one for you. You guys, when you started your house show runs, as you filled in for Strike Force, you worked a bunch with Demolition. But as July and the rest of the summer started to take place, you worked what must have been probably 100 times with Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov, the Bolsheviks. Your memories of two men that probably didn't move at the speed of Sean and Marty.
No, a little bit different speed.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, they went well together. I mean, it was a great Russian gimmick. You know, it was always fun to see Nikolai get off and sing the national anthem of Russia. And of course, an honor to be in the ring with Nikolai because I watched him on TV when I was in college.
Yeah, so he was a legend, and he still is now.
Yes. Yep. I mean, that was fun working with Nikolai and that stuff. You know, I mean, Nikolai was a lot of fun. You know, Boris was always the bumper. If you try to get Nikolai to do a bump, it's like having an octopus wrapped around you. You try to go give a slam, boy, those arms are wrapped, your legs are wrapped around you. It's like a fly. I mean, you can't get him off of you.
It was awkward looking.
Or you give him a clothesline, he would actually take a forward bump through the clothesline. You know, that was Nikolai. I remember Barb gave him a big boot. And Barb's big boots are incredible. Nikolai actually walked to the rope and threw himself over the top rope to get over the top rope. He didn't just take it, boom, over. He actually walked over and then kind of just leaned over the top rope and went over. And this was great because Chief Stay Strongbow was great at. Chief would always put his hands behind his back and go, oh, big man, what was that you just did in the ring? That stuff, you know. I mean, but Nikolai was a nice man to be around. He always had good jokes. He always had little card tricks or tricks he'd always show you all the time, you know. You know, he loved my wife at the time, always would talk to my wife all the time if she'd ever come around to the shows and that stuff, you know. And just he was an all-around good man, and Boris is a very good person too. Nikolai
worked almost up until the very end. I think in his early 70s he was still doing indie shows. This is a guy that either really wanted the money or really had a passion for the business to still want to get in the ring at that age.
Nikolai he enjoyed it, you know. He just enjoyed being around the guys.
Yeah.
You know, another one of the best ones of Nikolai is when he do that spinning kick. Oh boy, he do that spin. Nikolai, what's that scream? You know, or God, where's that scream come from? You know, but you know, Nikolai was always a pleasure to be around. Always had a garlic breath. Always had garlic.
The Sheik mentioned that before one time when he was here. Yeah.
Garlic breath coming or through his skin.
Did he really like garlic?
I guess he loved garlic. Either that or he's trying to ward off vampires or something. I don't know. I don't know, but it's something.
You know, and in this industry, you never know.
You never know in this industry. Maybe Gangrel was coming around, he would put some garlic on him.
There you go. He was preparing a decade early. Wrestling fans, this is what this program is all about. The great memories and legends, the stories, the experiences, and just some of the unique human beings that have flowed through professional wrestling over the years. As we wrap up this program, I thank the Warlord for joining us. We're going to be back with more great content on Wrestling Insider Special Edition. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours, be well, stay healthy, get ready for more tales from 1988. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the home of Maria Davis, Friday, January the 20th, 1984. In the opening contest, Salvatore Bellomo defeated Ken Jugan. Eddie Gilbert with the win over Bob Bradley. WWF Tag Team Champion Rocky Johnson defeated Iron Mike Sharp. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff with Roddy Piper victorious over Tony Gurria. Superfly Jimmy Snuka beat Sergeant Slaughter via disqualification. Bob Backlund with the win over the Masked Superstar inside a steel cage match. And in the main event, WWF World Heavyweight Champion the Iron Sheik retained the title over Chief Jay's Strongbow. If you were in Pittsburgh Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service, so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.